Good morning, Dennis Smith, wirelessjobs.com. And today we've got 2 minutes with John Carney. John is the former Senior Vice President of Sales at T-Mobile, a company that I know real well and very fond of. But today John is the co-founder and the CEO of Affinity Mobile. John, thanks for inviting us into your office today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. John, I have tremendous respect for your Senior Vice President of Marketing, Cinco Calfi. I met with Cinco a few weeks ago. We talked a lot about Affinity Mobile, your specific vision for the company, but also the mission of Affinity. And that's what I found very interesting. The companies that I typically talk to every day, the wireless companies I connect with, their mission is a lot different than Affinity Mobile. So take a moment, if you don't mind, talk to me about the mission of Affinity Mobile and why you're here.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about this business is that it's in my career, it's one of the few times that we're able to actually deliver great service to consumers, to carriers, make money for ourselves, for our investors, but also really have a chance to impact and help people, and particularly in developing economies. Bottom line, what we're doing is we're providing basic financial services to disempowered, disenfranchised people in global developing markets. Example markets like Ecuador, Bolivia, etc., that have no access to financial services today for various reasons, but they do have a cell phone. So that cell phone becomes like an ATM in the pocket for these people, and that's what we're enabling through our platform.
That's excellent. You refer on your site to that pocket of people being underbanked.
Exactly.
I like that term. And it was very easy for me to understand what you're getting at. But you also target an industry that historically has had an issue with customer loyalty, right? I came out of the carrier environment, and we lived that every day.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that customer loyalty issue and how you guys can help companies.
Well, that's at the root of the value proposition for Affinity. We don't sell to consumers directly. We sell to the carrier and wireless operators globally. I used to joke at T-Mobile that I knew how to sell prepaid and I knew how to make money at prepaid. I just couldn't do both at the same time. The good news is about 75% of the users of cell phones globally are on some kind of a prepaid service or pay-as-you-go service. The U.S. is kind of unique in their emphasis and majority on postpaid. But you go globally, as you know, as anybody in the business knows, it's mostly prepaid. The good news is it's very high growth for the carriers. Even in the U.S., it's where most of the growth is coming from. The bad news is churn is very high, customer loyalty is just not there, revenues tend to be low. So we believe the way to change that, you have to really change the behavior. And the way we do that is we put financial transactions in the center of the cell phone and really make that device more than just a phone for communicating. It becomes their access to a big piece of their life, which is receiving and sending money, basically. Sure. And so when you see that, and we've seen that in commercial applications in the U.S. with Trumpet Mobile, we've seen it in markets like Kenya, etc., we're seeing churn go down dramatically with users of mobile financial services. ARPU's increasing $2 to $3 per subscriber with beginning ARPUs that are in the $20 to $25 range. Yeah. So really meaningful increases in ARPU and meaningful decreases in churn.
Good deal. That number is astounding. When you talk about the number of when you relate to churn,
right? That's
really hard to write. If you haven't been in this industry, you don't understand how big that number is really. It's nice to see somebody doing something that is assisting the carriers, because I know we live that every day.
Right.
All right, John, on a personal level,
right? Not
too personal here.
Yeah.
But you're in a different environment than you've been for a while.
Sure.
What kind of challenges are you facing here at Affinity that you've not really wrestled with?
Well, and it really gets to the heart of what we're about and why it's I think a certain type of person is attracted to this company. First and foremost is the people that have come here almost to a person have all left big, cozy jobs. I was running a very large organization at T-Mobile. My CTO, same deal at Accenture. We have our CFO came from Metro PCS. We all left the big corporate jobs to really follow a passion. Yes, it's a great opportunity for everybody to to make money, investors as well as employees, but at the end of the day, we're really having an impact on people's lives. And so, you know, when I look at my personal, what drives me here and what I think drives everybody is the idea that we can do both. We can really impact people's lives in an incredibly meaningful way, but at the same time have a great business. And so that's fun. But you know, the challenges of a startup, right? It's a roller coaster ride. You know, one day you come in and it just seems like nothing can go wrong. The next day, nothing can go right, and it's all really, you don't share the risk with 150,000 of your best buddies, like at T-Mobile. It's 20 of us, 25 of us, and everybody carries a huge responsibility in terms of making this thing successful. So that's the good and the bad of it.
That's good, and that's honest. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to fast forward 5 years. We're just going to say you guys have been wildly successful, a lot of strong funding. What is it out there? We're going to kind of reach the heartbeat of the people that are in this wireless community now.
Yep.
What is it that's going to make them, the top talent, kind of sit up and take notice of Affinity Mobile?
Well, you know, I kind of said it earlier. I mean, I think that it's for people who really feel like they need more than just a job. It's a passion that you bring to this.
Sure.
When you go to places like Ecuador and you see people being able to transact business in a way that they never could before. You go to Kenya where people are standing in line to deposit money into their M-Wallet so that they can send money to their relatives out in the bush, literally, and their only other option at that point, prior to that, was to give cash to some guy who got on a bus who spent 20 hours taking the cash to pay for the basic things. I mean, those are the kinds of things that we're empowering, and I really think that you have to be tied in and driven by that kind of outcome. And so, gosh, 5 years from now, and everything happens the way we put in our business plan, we're going to have an extremely successful company. We're going to be on the cutting edge of technology. We'll be driving what I call the third wave of wireless adoption in terms of, first was voice, then messaging, and now what we believe is financial services is the next big revolutionary step in terms of consumer adoption. We'll be at the forefront of that. This is very much like BlackBerry was in the early days, in my opinion. Conversion to email. Now we're taking fundamental utilitarian transactions that have real importance in people's lives and putting them out on the cell phone. And so there's a whole technology piece to this, which is really cool and exciting. And so, I mean, it's got all of those things. So, I think it's boy. And then I'll probably be looking for the next thing because it'll be too big and successful, and it'll start looking like the big companies I left.
Hey, that's what you probably have. But you know what? If you can't get passionate about that, you don't really have a pulse. So it's exciting to hear you talk about those things, John.
Thanks.
Hey, listen, if you want to keep track of John and Cinco and all the rest of the crew at Affinity Mobile, certainly go to their website, affinitymobile.com. You can reach their Plano, Texas-based office at 214-800-1864. John, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Thanks
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
And on behalf of Affinity Mobile and WirelessJobs.com, this is Dennis Smith.